There are many different types of relationship and interactions between organisms. Discuss. Organisms can have predator-prey relationships. For example, snowshoe hare population varies in time with the lynx population. When the snowshoe hare population rises, there is more food for the predator species. This leads to an increase in the number of lynx predators. When the number of predators increases, there are fewer prey and the number of prey decreases. The alternating rise and fall seen in predators and prey only works when there is a limit to the number of different species of predators and prey, i.e. a very simple food chain. In ecosystems where food webs are more complex, there are fewer undulations in predator-prey that seem to match, and this is because when predator numbers increase, the number of different prey may decrease, and decrease to a different extent depending on which predators are predating on which prey. These predator-prey relationships still show fluctuations, and the aim of the predator is to eat the prey. However, with parasite and host, the aim of the parasite is to reproduce, and that relies on the survival of the host to ensure that the parasite has a habitat and source of nutrition. So, in contrast with the pathogen relationship, which may lead to death or certainly illness of the host, a pathogen may invade the body and be recognised since all the cells of the host will express antigens in their cell surface membrane that identify the host cells as self. This ensures that host's own immune system does not destroy the host's own cells, but only destroys those that have been affected and infected by the pathogen. The host's immune cells recognise the antigens on the pathogen and stimulate the correct B cell to undergo clonal expansion and divide by mitosis to produce many B cells that are able to differentiate into memory B cells and plasma B cells, able to produce antibodies, able to destroy the pathogenic cells. Evolution and natural selection can be a consequence of predator-prey relationships and host-cell and pathogen relationships. In the case of predator-prey, the evolution of the horse Mesohippus has occurred due to the increasing speed of the predator selecting for those horses that were able to run away faster and escape predation. Those that escaped were more likely to survive and reproduce and pass on the advantageous alleles for longer legs and faster running speed. Similarly, only humans able to survive and become immune to a particular pathogen will survive, and the human population has evolved to be resistant to particular diseases. The use of antibiotics can be an example of a selection pressure, and the use of antibiotics has led to the development of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. When the antibiotic is used, only those bacteria resistant to the antibiotic will survive and replicate, and those without resistance will die. When the antibiotic stops being used, the bacteria that are not resistant will be able to outcompete the resistant bacteria and cause the resistant bacteria to die out. Another example of competition and competitive exclusion principle is the loss of red squirrels in areas where grey squirrels have managed to exploit food sources. This is a type of interspecific competition between different species. This is because no two species can occupy the same niche, and if they do, one of the species will become extinct in that habitat. Similarly, succession and changes in the plant life of an area can be modified by the presence of different animal species. For example, deflected succession occurs when grazing animals prevent a climax community from developing due to the constant grazing and removal of tree species before they can grow into a tree. The transfer of energy from the plant species to the animal species is not one way. The nutrient cycles in ecosystems include the transfer of energy between organisms through ingestion and digestion and absorption. Nitrates can be cycled through the animals. When the animals die or produce feces or urine, nitrogen-containing molecules are released into the environment. Bacteria are able to carry out nitrification, and ammonification can occur in the soil, and by converting the nitrogen molecules in urine into molecules that can be taken up by the roots of the plant into the plant and converted into amino acids and DNA, and allow the plant to grow by carrying out mitosis and cell division, the nitrates incorporated into the plant tissue can then be consumed by the animal species, and these nitrates are then converted into nitrogenous molecules in the animal used for growth and repair of tissues. These animals are called herbivores and primary consumers. Then the secondary consumers eat the herbivores, and more molecules are transferred up the food chain, and molecules are digested, hydrolyzed and absorbed and then assimilated into the animal's own tissue, biological molecules. When the animal molts and loses fur, the nitrates in the fur are released into the soil, and these too can be broken down, and more nitrates released into the cycle, and it continues. The nitrogen cycle involves the passing of nutrients nitrates from different organisms. The growth of organisms and evolution of organisms relies on these interactions, and evolution and change in organisms are heavily interrelated. However, humans and farmers can alter organisms' evolution through artificial selection. The selection of cows for their high milk yield or meat yield has led to an increase in the Holstein Friesian cow, which produces a high milk yield. Chickens have been bred for high egg yield, and they have been caged to reduce movement and thus allow the chickens to use more energy for growth and egg production and less energy to move around and keep warm. Providing animals with high protein foods will also help to improve growth and yield. Another way farmers can alter the growth and yield of organisms is by gene technology. This is where organisms can be genetically modified using vectors such as Tumifacines agrobacterium, to insert the genes for production of vitamin A into species of rice, and this will form golden rice.